Hi, it's Kelly, and I know that everyone has their own January rituals, their own how to start the year off right ideas. But I want to share something that I learned from a company way back when I was 18 that I still try to do every year. So I worked for this company in California where I lived, but I only worked there during Christmas break and summer break because otherwise I was off at school in another state. And when I got home the first Christmas of my freshman year of college, I was working at this company and they had what I call, they probably didn't call it this, dumpster week. And that was the week between Christmas and New Year's. If you were working that week and you didn't have a whole lot to do because we worked with municipalities and cities and school districts, and a lot of them were closed for the holiday, they would bring in several dumpsters and you were expected to clean your desk, clean your office, and basically get reset for the new year. And I thought it was such a brilliant thing because if you are working, you want to be productive in some way, but there's only so much you can do if people aren't emailing you back or your supervisor is not there to review your latest proposal. So why not get organized for the new year? And I'd see this happen every year, and it was just so inspiring to me that a business would make time to essentially declutter and clean their office spaces. And maybe this was the only time all year that people actually went through their desk and tossed things they didn't need anymore. Now, of course, there were things that they did need to keep, and those went to the file room. I know this because I spent my first winter filing in a freezing cold file room for 3 weeks before I went back to college. But the majority of the things that people had on their desks did not need to be there in the new year. It might be proposal drafts, it might be initial plans that never got finished, but a lot of it was just the mundane paperwork that comes with having a job. And if you have a job, you know what this is like. Now, I think today it's a little bit different because most of our clutter seems to be digital, especially when it comes to work. But there are some things that you do need to print or keep. The question came up recently in a thread, do I need to keep my vaccination card from COVID? It's 4 or 5 years old now. It's been in my wallet forever. Do I need it? And my thought was, well, yeah, you might be going places that they need to see your vaccination. We don't know the future of COVID or, what we might be required to have, and its medical history. My thought was, well, take a picture of it. You should have it on your phone anyways. That way, if it gets lost, you at least have the record, or put it in with your other medical records that you keep from year to year. Might as well have it. And especially if it's in a digital form, you could throw away the paper copy, then need to prove that you did get a vaccine and try to remember where you got it. But in January, most people do clean house just a bit. Now, it's already January here, although my Christmas decorations are still up because I haven't taken them down yet. But when you're thinking about your space, one of the things that I would highly encourage is to be deliberate about what you want to keep and not just what you want to get rid of. So sometimes people are like, well, I want to get rid of anything I haven't used. But that doesn't always track in what you should be keeping. I mean, I have never used my fire extinguisher, but I'm not going to get rid of it. I haven't needed my smoke detector, except that one time when I burnt something in the oven, but I'm not going to toss it because I rarely use it. Now, there's 1,000 accounts out there publishing even today about how to keep and how to toss and decluttering. I mean, my favorite way to get inspired to clean up a space is to just put on an episode of Hoarders Buried Alive and see where the path leads if you don't address it sooner. And that usually inspires me to get cleaning and organizing and just tidying up my space. Now, one of the things that I want to do on this channel, because it's called My Deliberate Day, is to share how being specific and deliberate about what you're doing can really improve your life day to day. I find that sometimes it just feels like you're floating through time. Like you're going to look up and be like, oh my gosh, it's June. And then next thing you know, everyone's going to be like, oh my gosh, it's December. Where did the year go? And it's easy to think, oh, 2022, that wasn't that long ago. Oh, that was 5 years ago. Okay, that was a while ago. Or, yeah, I haven't had, my car that long. And then you're like, oh, no, it was a decade. Time is complicated. And as you get older, it seems to go faster. And so how do you make sure you're making the most of the time that you have? One of the ways that I do that is I have been planning in quarters. And this is nothing new. A lot of people do it. You see these books like the 90-day year, and a lot of people who have these strategies on how to go through your life 90 days at a time, a quarter at a time. And think about if you had 90 days and if you only spent an hour a day on something, what you could accomplish. Because sometimes it's hard to think of the projects that you have in your life of like, well, I just don't have 2 weeks to spend on that. Or even if you had the time, well, it's going to take a lot of money and I haven't saved it up. But if you start thinking of it in terms of weeks or quarters, then you could get a lot more done. So for me, example, for the next 90 days, I've decided to work through specific rooms of my house and, really clean, deep clean, figure out what projects I need to finish and organize. But I didn't say I'm going to clean my entire house in a weekend because I have a big house and that would be insane. So taking those 90-day chunks, you can be a little bit more realistic. What would 90 hours on a project you've been wanting to do, where would that get you? I mean, if you're writing a book and you dedicate 90 hours to writing and editing a book, you're going to make significant progress. If you want to be a better home cook and spend 90 hours looking at recipes, testing them out, and coming up with proven meal plans that your family can repeat week after week and love, that's a good use of your time. So whatever it is that you want to do, and this is the time of year where everyone's like thinking about where they want to be next year, think about what you could do over the course of a few months if you put dedicated time. Because if you want to rebuild a car, maybe you have an old junker or you have a classic car that you want to restore, and you put in 15 minutes here and an hour and a half there and maybe a weekend here over the course of a year, you're going to get to the end of the year and maybe not see significant progress on that change. But if instead you said, maybe your goal is your garden, and you're saying, okay, well, for 90 days, I'm going to spend an hour a day doing something I need to do in the garden. Now, I wouldn't recommend it in the northern hemisphere right now because our ground is frozen solid. But if you did this in the spring, you could see how an hour a day weeding or an hour a day planting, an hour a day mowing, setting up flower beds, cleaning up trash, repairing fences, any of these tasks, an hour a day consistently, almost 100 hours in a quarter, you could see real change. And the only caveat I give you is that, I guess 2 caveats. I'll take that back. 2 caveats. One is, if you like that idea of like the dumpster week, you don't have to wait till next Christmas to do that. You can adopt these practices anytime you want. Hey, we're going to have dumpster week in March. We're going to have dumpster week in August. It doesn't matter. Pick it up, use it anytime. The second caveat is sometimes we get excited and we go, wow, I could devote 100 hours in the next quarter. And here are the 47 goals I have. Well, you probably don't have that much time per day. And then you're going to dilute your actual growth, your actual effort if you try to do too many things. Doesn't mean you can't do more than one. You just have to be realistic about the time you're going to spend, how much time you're going to spend tracking, and if it's more important to get that one big thing done or a bunch of little things. So like if I use my declutter project as an example, it is a bigger project. It is decluttering, organizing, cleaning every room in my house. And I have a big house. So I am dividing that down by space and by quarter. But what I'm not doing is saying, okay, for 30 days, I'm going to declutter my entire house. And then I'm going to do my entire garden. And then I'm going to rebuild my porch. And then I'm going to start a new business. And you get what I mean? I'm not like piling on too many big projects in a short time space. So if you've had New Year's goals in the past that have gone nowhere, or you think like, man, every single year I say I'm going to do this and I never do it. Make this the year where you get more deliberate about what you want and specifically how you're going to plan for what you want. If you want to visit every national park in your country, you need a plan for that. If you want to do a road trip to Florida, you just need to get that plan in order and start working on it little by little, whether that means saving up or planning your route or finding places to stay. Anything that you want, anything in your life, business, personal, relational. Any project can really be broken down into a series of smaller steps, and then it's up to you to be deliberate about taking those steps. I find that when people get stuck, there's a few reasons. Either they don't know what to do next, so they do nothing, and that's a big problem, or they know what they need to do next, and there's something holding them back. Usually fear, usually worry or anxiety, or resources are lacking. But if you want to actually have the life you've dreamed of, or the things in your life that you think would make you happier, working towards them deliberately is the best way to move forward. And it doesn't all have to happen on January 1st. In fact, if you're watching this video at any point during the year, start today.